Way back in 1946, Paul Klipsch had an idea for a speaker design that was pretty radical for the time. He experimented with many designs before he came up with a large speaker called the Klipsch. Now, over 70 years later, the Klipsch is in its 6th revision, and the company that started in a tin shed is now one of the most famous speaker companies in the world. Today's review is on a new product from Klipsch that continues the Klipsch heritage of great sound, but in a different format than a traditional loudspeaker. As people spend more time at their desk and some living spaces have gotten smaller, there has been a trend emerging in the speaker market of an all-in-one powered speaker. These types of speakers have multiple connections and usually have wireless connectivity as well. We were really excited to get a pre-production model of the Fives, the subject of today's video. If you want to read our full article on the Fives, head over to audioadvice.com by clicking on our link in the description. There we take a deeper dive into everything these speakers have to offer, which is a lot. Along with this review, you'll find hundreds of other reviews, comparisons, buyer's guides, and much more. Now let's take a look at the Fives, the brand new speaker from Klipsch. Klipsch has been manufacturing powered speakers for quite a few years, but the Fives powered speakers bring everything they have learned about powered speakers into a brand new product. After spending a great deal of time with this new model, we think they've really hit a home run with these. They offer up everything you would expect in a separate audio amplifier and a pair of speakers in an elegant all-in-one package. Klipsch put a lot of engineering into ensuring that the Fives could be much more compact than their older powered speakers, while guaranteeing they would not sacrifice any performance by shrinking them. In fact, what they came up with is actually a big improvement in performance to our ears. With their slim profile, the Fives will be able to fit into a lot of places. They're about 12 inches tall, 6.5 inches wide, and just over 9 inches deep. This ratio of roughly double the height of the width gives them a sleek, slender appearance and also has them throwing out some killer imaging. They're available in a walnut or matte black finish. The grills are magnetic, so you can keep them on for an elegant look or take them off for the more hip look that you might find in a loft or tech-forward space. The Fives were designed to be totally standalone, so all you need to do is add sources to get music going. And boy, do they have a lot of source options. We'll talk more about those later. Klipsch took a new path in the volume control and source input selector on the Fives that adds to the unique appearance. They of course come with a remote, but Klipsch also put 2 beefy metal knobs on the top right side of the main speaker that contribute to their bold look. These provide quick access to both volume and input selection. As with almost all powered speakers, one unit has the amps built in with all the inputs, while the other speaker connects up to the main unit with a piece of speaker wire. The Fives are different from most powered speakers because the connection is not a typical speaker wire connection, but with a 4-wire conductor DIN plug. This has some big pros and one con. A huge pro is that there's actually separate amplifiers for the woofers and tweeters. This concept has big performance advantages, allowing these powered speakers to function much more like higher performance setups. The con is the fact that you just can't place the speakers further apart by extending standard speaker wire. They come with a 15-foot connecting cable and should have an extension available in the future. There's no question though, the bi-amping advantage greatly outweighs the somewhat proprietary connection. The Fives are built to expectation with high-quality wooden cabinets, great fit and finish, and the same type of quality connection you'd see on an $800 home theater receiver. The Fives perform great with Bluetooth, and for us connecting was quick and simple. There's an optical input which could be used for a CD player or TV optical out, plus a 3.5mm analog input. Klipsch includes a USB input for computer use. You'll have no issues with your higher resolution files as it can handle 24/192 high-res audio files. The previous Klipsch powered speakers had phono inputs, but they seemed like a bit of an afterthought. Klipsch really upped their game on the Fives phono input, which works with a moving magnet cartridge. You can even flip a switch to make it a second analog input should you need to. Speaking of flipping, most powered speakers force you to keep the left and right layout based upon one speaker having the amplifier, but Klipsch added a switch to the back of the 5s that lets you designate if the speaker with all the connections is on the right or left side. That's pretty cool. The 5s include a subwoofer out, but they take things one step further. Most powered speakers simply send a full range signal out of their subwoofer out, but do nothing to the main powered speakers when you connect to sub. When you connect to the subwoofer out on the 5s, they actually kick in a crossover that takes the bass away from the 5s and send the deep bass to the sub. When you do it this way, the mid-range gets even better since the woofer's not having to go as deep and move as far. Now we've come to probably the coolest feature the 5s offer, an HDMI ARC input. ARC stands for Audio Return Channel. This is a new standard for HDMI connections that has two pretty cool advantages. When you connect an audio piece up to a TV through HDMI ARC, the TV's remote control does the power, volume, and mute of the audio piece it's connected to. While pretty much anything will sound better than a TV's internal speaker, the 5s, instead of a soundbar, allows you to spread them farther apart, which will give you a much bigger sound field. Now keep in mind, if you have an older TV that does not have HDMI ARC, you can still use a Toslink digital input for the same results. You'll just need to keep the 5's remote control handy for the volume. From a flexibility standpoint, the 5s are obviously setting some new standards. But what about how they cover all the classic DNA of Klipsch speakers? Starting at the top, the tweeter comes from their Reference Premier series. It uses their 1-inch LTS ceramic vented titanium tweeters with their Track 6 horn. This is a very well proven tweeter you'll find on Klipsch speakers costing far more than these. The woofer is a 4.5-inch long throw woofer, which also comes from their Reference Premier series. This might seem small, but Klipsch beefed it up with a 1.5-inch voice coil, and its long throw coupled with the Track 6 bass port gives us bass down to 50 Hz, which is very impressive for its size. There are two power amps inside the 5s that supply 60 watts each to the woofers and 20 watts each to the horn tweeters for a total of 160 watts. This combo enables the 5s to hit up to 109 dB in sound pressure level. Klipsch has also added a pretty neat thing they call dynamic EQ. The human ear does not hear the lower bass frequencies as well as the volume decreases. This circuit adds some bass back in as the volume goes down, giving them a very warm sound even at super low listening levels. Being Klipsch speakers, they can obviously play very loud, but what kept us coming back for more was how pleasant they sounded at a very low volume. This makes the 5s especially good for you while working when you normally have the sound turned down to a lower level. We were initially so impressed with the 5s that we decided to drag out some speaker stands and measured their distance off the rear wall to get them perfectly symmetrical. Some of the less expensive Klipsch powered speakers we've tested could sound a little too in your face and up front. The 5s maintain that great sense of Klipsch dynamics, but the Reference Premier Series tweeter is much sweeter sounding than what's used in their less expensive powered speaker models. Imaging was just also fantastic with a wide and deep soundstage. Dylan's new cut, False Prophet, sounded just fantastic on the 5s. Next came a test with a subwoofer, and wow, did things get even better. Coupling the 5s to a small subwoofer really shows how well Klipsch engineered the internal crossover we talked about earlier. The change to the mid-range and mid-bass was substantial. We used the Klipsch R100SW, and when you consider this whole system was less than $1,300, the sound it was throwing out was spectacular. The powered all-in-one speaker market has become pretty crowded over the last few years as more music lovers want compact systems capable of providing great sound. While their prior models were very good, Klipsch has taken it to a totally new level with the 5s. Not only will they deliver the big sound you expect from Klipsch, they also keep that full sound when you turn the volume way down. The end result to us is actually greater than the sum of all the parts. If you have any questions about the 5s or any other home audio gear or home theater gear, be sure to give us a call, chat with one of our experts at audioadvice.com, or stop into one of our Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina showrooms. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more great home audio and home theater content. We'll see you next time.